It's Bama Day at SEC Media Days, which means it's the most important day of all.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. I want to thank you everydayers for being here every day. Thank you newbies for being here today. And thanks to everybody for making us your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. So we're going to talk about Alabama's appearance at SEC Media Days today, coming up in the second segment. But I thought it'd be fun to talk a little bit about what we saw from SEC Media Days Day 2. It was interesting. It was Texas and Tennessee and Georgia and then Auburn. But all of those teams are very interesting in their own way. I do want to get into what they said about Bama, but I thought there was some fun stuff. I mean, Hugh Freeze sounded almost arrogantly confident. Like,
I love this. I was shocked. I was shocked at how confident.
I think everybody sounds confident up there, but he sounded like, yeah, we're going to be in the playoff mix. Again,
playoff talk. And I think that's pretty brave considering, I mean, has he had a winning record there? Aren't they 5-7 and 5-7 or something? 5-7 and 6?
No, he has not had a winning season there yet.
That's pretty brave. Now, I do think they are going to be better. I really do. I think this Auburn team is going to be good. As a matter of fact, spoiler alert, I'm leaning towards, because, again, this is the week I'm coming up with my official SEC predictions. I think Auburn is 8-4 and 4-4 in the league. And 4-4 in the SEC makes you really good. I mean, I think they're going to be really good. But really good equals to 8-4 in this league and 4-4 overall. Now, if they could lose to Baylor, I think they're in a position where the wheels could come off and it could go a lot different. I think a lot hinges on that Baylor game, but I expect Auburn to win it. They got more good football players than Baylor. They should win it.
I agree with that. Now, it was just funny to me because I was watching another show that I'm usually on Tuesday nights. Can't be on there tonight because I'm in Salt Lake City. And so they got a guest host who is also an Auburn fan. And I was like, I had to call in because I was like, I know it's SEC Media Days in 2025 when I tune into this show and I hear Auburn fans talking about 1993. But then another thing that was kind of interesting, and again, it's more like outside stuff that happened but Georgia, Texas on the same day, Kirby Smart goes off on something about how, yeah, you can make $200,000 at Georgia or you can do something else, which is still like hard to wrap your mind around people openly talking about that. But then this very same day, yesterday, Tyler Atkinson, the number one linebacker in the country from Georgia, who everybody thought was going to Georgia, commits to Texas. Yep. Then they also lose a guy who just became a 5-star in the new On3 Rivals merger in J.J. Jones or J.J. Johnson. Doesn't matter. We're not recruiting him. But I'm just saying Texas and Georgia, I mean, Kirby Smart's starting to feel like, hey, you're doing to me what I usually do to other people. What's going on here?
Yeah, they're recruiting from the same pool of players. Obviously, they go head-to-head a lot, Georgia and Texas. They go head-to-head a lot over quite a few players. I thought the biggest story yesterday was Texas and Arch. Arch Mania was even bigger than some anticipated. I thought Arch handled his time with the media like a total pro. I mean, it was pretty. I was amazed. I watch these kids get interviewed all the time, all year long. I was amazed by Arch in terms of him. All that time he spent with the media and how calm and poised he was in the middle of what amounted to a media storm compared to what every other kid at media days who never has more than 8 or 10 guys talking to him. And Arch had, 80, 90 people trying to cram microphones in there. He was very good. I'm a little bit like Paul Feinbaum was for those who watched it. I mean, Paul Feinbaum was sort of fanboying over Arch. I'm the same way in terms of I expect or suspect that there will be some level of greatness there that we will see. Maybe not minute number one. Let's give him some time. This is his first year as a starter. There's going to be bumps in the road. It's the SEC, and he's got 4 new offensive linemen, and they lost 2 receivers to the draft, and and they lost their tight end, Gunnar Helm. So I do think there'll be some bumps in the road, but I do think Arch is going to be not just good, but great.
Somebody on Twitter had a great line, for all the love and this being lauded with praise for Arch Manning. He dressed like he was the Kappa Sig president going in front of internal affairs to hopefully not get his chapter kicked off campus. It was kind of weird. Like after a day where we see Garrett Nussmeier, I mean, he's dressed to the nines. He looks fantastic. And then
Arch did look like
Manning kind of looked like
fraternity president.
SEC Media Days was today. By the way, I don't know if y'all can hear in the background. I'm here in Salt Lake City. I've never heard so many motorcycle revvings, so many ambulances and fire trucks.
In Utah? In Utah?
What are these Mormons doing?
Did the quarterback have sex before he was married?
Oh,
for those that keep up with the news, that is literally that's a literal sports news story. I mean, that's why, for those who haven't kept up with it, why BYU just lost their quarterback. He got caught doing it before he was married and now has to leave.
It woke me up like 3 times last night. I mean, I'm like, what is going on out there? I mean, but anyway, all right. So yeah, Arch was dressed kind of funkily.
I didn't think so, but I didn't think so. But now that you mention it, it was very fraternity president-like.
Well, it wasn't.
That's kind of what
it wasn't funky. It was the opposite of funk. I mean, like you'd never see George Clinton in that outfit.
No, I thought he was
Bill Clinton in that outfit.
I thought he was conservative professional, but now that you say it, he did. I guess Arch just also has the appearance of a typical college fraternity guy. But on the other hand, he was very impressive with me. He was
agreed.
He was extremely confident while still being extremely likable, and that's hard for a quarterback to pull off. He was very likable, made fun of himself, told funny stories, but was clearly confident that he was ready for this job.
Well, I'm going to tell you, that's why you and I don't need to go to SEC Media Days. That'd be my first question to Arch. Everybody else is like, Arch, what's it like keeping up the Manning name? Arch, how do you feel you're in the eyes of the storm of college football? I'd be like, hey, Arch, that outfit, what's up with that? What's going on there?
They do talk about the outfits. The media does talk about the outfits. And Darinoka yesterday was knocked out by the Auburn guy, Falk, Keldrick Falk.
Yeah, Keldrick Falk did have he looked pretty. He
looked sharp. He looked ready for the draft. That was draft worthy. And Darinoka was like, "Wow, that chain is something. NIL doesn't suck, huh?"
Yeah,
and it made the kid laugh.
Number 15. Yeah, I saw
it made the kid laugh.
So, some things that have been said about Alabama so far. Now, I thought Brian Kelly had something interesting. He says, this is a quote from Brian Kelly. He said, look, I've played Alabama 5 times because I played them twice in Notre Dame. And the one characteristic is physicality in the trenches. Alabama's been the most physical team that I've gone against as a head coach. They showed that and displayed that against us last year. That's why it's so important for us to upgrade there, especially on the defensive line. And by the way, they are upgrading on the defensive line. I mean, now
they went shopping
this year, but they're out there. They're spending some Cajun dollars.
They went shopping.
Yeah.
When it comes to, they knew they had to get better there. And look, one thing that when I heard Brian Kelly say that today, one thing that immediately came to mind, and of course he's being gracious and he's a pro himself, but when Brian Kelly was at Notre Dame, look who he faced at Alabama. He faced the 2012 Alabama team, which was, in my opinion, the greatest Alabama offensive line of all time. That was the Barrett Jones, Cyrus Quandro, Steen Warmack, Fluker. That was the offensive line in 2012. Then when Brian Kelly plays Alabama again, it's 2020.
2020.
It's
maybe the best team of all time.
The other great offensive line in Alabama history, and probably Alabama's best team under the same. So Brian Kelly, when he faced the 2 Alabama teams, no wonder he's saying, boy, that's a physical football team. He was practically playing the 33rd NFL team in 2012 and 2020. Now, it's been a little different since then. We can admit that, Alabama hasn't been quite the same since 2020. I don't know that any team in college football has been as good as Alabama was in 2020. but Alabama has retained some level of physicality in the front seven and up front. And one thing I appreciate about DeBoer, and we'll talk about DeBoer and Grubb more in this next segment, but is that, they come in with sort of a high-flying offense, but there's still a commitment to physical football on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and I think Brian Kelly is giving a nod to that.
Yeah, and we want to talk about Alabama at the mic today and what we expect to hear, but I wanted to add one more thing. So we're on the SEC, Locked On SEC group chat thing, and Clint Shamblin, who runs Locked On Bulldogs for the Georgia site, somebody said Arch Manning's getting the Beatles treatment. He chimed in with, I've never heard a Beatles song all the way through. And I was thinking, stop, you got to stop what you're doing and go do that right now. There's probably nobody else who's had more influence on a thing than the Beatles to music. Now, if you want to say the Beatles were influenced by this, that, fine. But the Beatles themselves, the whole Beatlemania thing was so big, we still say it, and there's only one Beatle left.
There's two. There's two.
But we forget Ringo still left.
I was kind of floored by that. I mean, I don't know how you can escape. Now we're older. We're a little bit closer to the Beatles era, though we're too young even for that. But I don't know how you.
I was like, they even saying, is Georgia football in one of the songs. I would think that'd be the song you want to, but I don't even know if that's what they are. You know what I'm talking about what is the song? No,
I don't know.
I got to sing it out in my set.
I don't know. Is that in Hey Jude?
No. Dang it. I got to look it up now. All right.
Twist and Shout? I mean,
Twist and Shout. Let me tell you what it wasn't. And it wasn't what Rocky Raccoon, okay?
Yellow. Okay. Got me.
So
I still don't
dumb.
know.
What a dumb rabbit hole.
He says Trojan football in a song.
Was it Trojan football?
He says Trojan
football.
Georgia
football.
He says Trojan football and Come Together.
Come Together. I thought it was Georgia football.
Trojan football. Yep.
That's it.
And he's probably they're probably talking about, and he's probably talking about soccer. I don't know.
I'm sure not the only person who thought that. There's no way.
Until you said football. I'm like, do they even say football? But they're probably talking about soccer. They're from Liverpool.
That's what I figured too. I was like, there's some European nation that, okay, doesn't matter. Let's talk about FanDuel. God, I'm so dumb. I thought they were saying Georgia football. I even made that joke and like nobody said anything to me. I think they felt bad for me. All right. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're about baseball under the lights, golf on the greens, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. It's that simple. Go to FanDuel.com and download that app today, or visit FanDuel.com to get started. You will love it. Go use the app. That's the best way to do it. FanDuel, it's awesome. Trust us. I sound like the least biggest Beatles fan ever. I've been saying Georgia football this whole time. I don't know why. But listen, in my defense,
no one listening has not sung the wrong lyrics to something repeatedly.
Yeah. My brother had a friend who thought "There's a bad moon on the rise" was "There's a bathroom on the right." like somebody, "There's a bathroom on the right." All right. So Alabama, I know that is bad. I mean, like, who would sing a song about that?
Somebody that had to go pretty bad.
The Go-Go's. So anyway. Or P. Diddy. Okay. Sorry.
Nice.
I got to stop. But Alabama's at the podium today.
Yep. So people listening have probably people listening to our show have already heard DeBoer, who speaks at 8:05 a.m.
So
who spoke at 8:05 a.m.
Let me ask you this then, since we talked about it earlier. We said Hugh Freeze went up there with a lot of confidence. I thought Steve Sarkisian went up there in a very business-like manner. I felt like Kirby Smart talked as if he were the godfather of the conference, which he kind of is. I mean, I know Mark Stoops has been around the longest, but I feel like now that
Kirby's the top dog. Kirby's the top dog in this league.
Kirby's the top dog.
No doubt.
I mean, I don't mind saying that. Now, hopefully it's Kalen DeBoer one day. But
right now it's Kirby. There's no question that's true.
Kalen DeBoer to be. I want him to be Kalen DeBoer, of course. But what does that mean? What do you want to see out of him that'll make you think he's being authentic?
That if he doesn't do Saban, and he won't, I think for Alabama fans, let's recall that in all especially the latter years, the second half of the Saban tenure at Alabama on media days, the media couldn't wait to ask him questions, but they wouldn't ask him about Alabama football. Tell me about your quarterback. Tell me about tell me about your new coordinator. Tell me about, do you have any changes in philosophy about hurry up, no huddle? That's not what they'd ask him about. They'd ask about the issues of the day as if he was the college football commissioner. That's the questions he would get. What about this rule? What about this rule? What are your thoughts on NIL? What are your thoughts on the transfer portal? They wanted him to speak about and for college football as if he was the commissioner. No one is even going to ask DeBoer in that same vein. Now, he might get a question about managing rev share and the house settlement, because all the coaches have gotten at least one house settlement type question. So he's probably going to get like one, but not in the same vein Saban did. So I don't think he'll get questions like that. Also, don't think you'll hear DeBoer try to be Saban. He's going to be himself. And let's be honest, and I'm not taking a shine, it's just who he is. He generally probably isn't going to say much. He doesn't make news when he speaks. He's not hugely quotable. People call it coach speak. I think that's a silly thing to say. He is a coach and he's speaking. I don't know what he's not going to do plumber speak. I mean, that's what he does. I don't think he misleads people. I think he answers the question in general, but he's also not going to give anything away, and he's not going to make news, and he's not going to speak like he's the commissioner of college football. He's just who he is, and that's who I want him to be. Exactly who he is. If that bothers people or people think it's boring, that's on them. I think this is just who he is, and that's who he needs to be, because the only way this is going to work at Alabama is if Kalen DeBoer is Kalen DeBoer. If he tries to be someone else, especially Saban, it's just not going to work.
And it can work being Kalen DeBoer, being, boring relative to some other folks in the conference, especially. I mean, when you think about the personalities in the conference, you think about some of the different tangled webs some of the coaches have been in the past in this conference. We've always said that the SEC has a ton of personality. That's why I loved it when Coach O was in here. I mean, there's nobody was a personification of the team they coached in the area they coached than Coach O was. Now, Coach O at Ole Miss, still interesting personality, but Coach O is just a Cajun at heart. So, I kind of miss him. But now, Brian Kelly's come in there, and he's almost the antithesis of that, and I kind of dig it. I look at somebody like a Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin feels kind of like an Ole Miss dude now, like sort of like, I'm not the biggest and the baddest, but I'm going to beat you,
He certainly acts now. I thought when he got to Ole Miss, he wouldn't be there long because he was looking for a bigger thing. I don't know. Ole Miss, he acted. Yeah, he was. That's true. But now Lane acts as if, and I sort of believe him, like he's pretty entrenched in Oxford. And hey, a shout out I'll give to Lane. Maybe Lane's biggest accomplishment at Ole Miss, I think the whole country looks at Ole Miss differently now than they did before Lane got there. And I think Lane has turned that into a destination job. I mean, now it's not Alabama, it's not Texas, it's not Georgia, it's not even LSU. But Ole Miss is a top 10, top 15 type job. And everybody listening to this is like, yeah, I guess it is. It wasn't always that. Not even close to that. Imagine saying that in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. I think Lane, Ole Miss, they pay him $10 million a year. They have great facilities. They have a highly paid staff. They're invested. They're invested NIL wise. They win. They recruit top 10 when you count the portal.
Portal recruiting ground.
Yeah. So Lane has not just done well at Ole Miss. I think he's built Ole Miss into a destination job that top coaches want to work there.
Well, and therefore, I think it's gotten better. When Lane used to do some of his antics, it felt like he was doing the antics for antics' sake. I don't think he's doing that anymore. I think some of it is like, this is me, and I'll do them on my time. And he sent that one out the other day, like that he tagged Hugh Freeze on out on a fishing boat. And I don't know if anybody's figured out exactly what that tweet was about yet.
Yeah, he used to be almost like a stand-up act at the SEC Media Day, and Lane's not that anymore. It's not that he's super serious.
Not the class clown.
But he's not he's not class clown anymore. It used to be almost a give and take between him and Sankey about that Lane was always in trouble with the SEC commissioner's office. I get the feeling now that doesn't happen at all anymore. I mean, he really has changed and is kind of, I wouldn't go so far as to call him a statesman, but he's closer to that than he was, literally like a class clown, a likable class clown not too long ago. I think he's done a remarkable transformation, and I don't know that Lane's going to leave Ole Miss anytime soon.
I think Lane is a perfect example. Sometimes less is more, and he's been a little bit less of what he was, that everybody was like, sort of tired of that act. Now when he does it, it's just funny because it's worthy of being done. Now, come back to all this and say, Kalen DeBoer, see, I don't want him to do any of that stuff. I want him to, if he's boring, be boring. That's
just
fine.
Be Kalen DeBoer, and that's enough.
He's not going to be as quotable, and it ain't going to matter what he does because that's not him. And I think what sells recruits as much as anything, well, not as much as money, but secondly, is authenticity.
Authenticity, yes.
Kids can see through BS today better than they ever could.
If it's an act, they know it right away.
Right.
And you won't see an act. You didn't see an act today. If you're listening to this after, I'm guaranteeing this, despite the fact that y'all have already watched DeBoer speak. Me and Luke were recording this before Keon speaks. What you saw today was not an act. That's him. He is authentic. He's himself every time. And maybe it comes across as a little boring to some people. But hey, that's not the job. The job is to win football games, and he's ultimately going to be judged at Alabama harshly on wins and losses.
So we're at number 15 on your countdown. Is it 15?
We are 15 on the countdown. Can you believe that? It is just two weeks and a day until practice starts.
That is the cool part of this other job I have. This other job, my career of working with my family business, is that when I travel to somewhere like Salt Lake, and it takes a day to get out here and get settled, and then you spend a day doing your thing, and then it takes a day to get back. Like, that's 3 quick days. Yeah, today kind of sucked because it was hot as Hades out here, but it was at the same time, like, the day sort of flew by, and now, like, I'm going to be on a plane most of tomorrow, and it'll fly by literally. Next thing you know, we'll be on number 14, and hey, I feel like we got 2 weeks for the whole thing to start, and
yeah, there's only 2.
Kiss me goodbye. So number 15 on your countdown is Keon.
Think about it. Yeah, there's only 2 Thursdays left of no football.
There's what a good way to put it.
2 Thursdays left.
There's only 3 sleeps left until Christmas. I love that.
You like that? Okay. All right. I'll bring it up again. Yeah, Keon Sab today, 15th best player on the team. Keon is maybe the 15th best player on the team in my estimation, but he's one of my favorite people on the team. My favorite story about Keon, I've told it on the show before, but to me it just stands out about who Keon is. Last year, a year ago, DeBoer names this leadership council, and he goes to the first leadership council meeting of his first team at Alabama, and they had met. And DeBoer's like, well, I know y'all have met, so do y'all have any suggestions? And the first suggestion they had is, yeah, you need to add Keon Sabb to this group. And that's how, and he had just got there. He's a transfer guy from Michigan. But Keon is a leader. He is extremely well-spoken. He obviously moves people in the locker room. He's smart as heck. He's a good football player. He's not awesome, or the Keon we've seen yet is not an awesome football player, but he's good. He's very good with a chance to get even better. Let's remember, it seemed like he was coming in a national champ from Michigan. He didn't have a lot of experience. I think he had started 6 games before he'd ever gotten to Alabama last year. He got those 2 picks early in the season, right off the bat. He had done really well in spring practice and fall camp, earning a starting spot quickly. He's just a good football player. And I think it's important to have a leader that's back there as sort of playing traffic cop. The safety, the deep safety, is often the traffic cop. And Keon's ideal for that role. Again, smart guy, coach on the field type. And he's one of my favorite people on this team. And I encourage everyone, once the interviews start, once the team's back in practice in fall camp and they put out those interviews, y'all watch Keon Sab in an interview. You will be knocked out. He is he's a very well-spoken, great guy. And I think he has a heck of a future in coaching if he decides to go that route.
Could have been a real interesting choice to take the SEC Media Days.
Yeah. I bet he was strongly considered.
On the consideration list.
Yeah, I'm sure. The problem is Keenan and Lawson are just too alpha dog. And boy, what a great example. We talked about it the other day on the show. This team's full of leaders. There's a lot of leadership on this team. And even when you talk about the frontline guys like Lawson and Keenan, you got to. But then there's Sab. Then there's Quay Russaw, who's also quietly turning into one of the big leaders on this team.
You know, what makes me think when we talk Keon Sab is I really want to play Michigan again. I mean, I really do. Number one, how cool would it be to play Michigan and you have Keon Sab meets Justice Haynes at the goal line or something?
Yeah, when we played Michigan this past year, Keon was hurt, couldn't go. He'd already been lost for the season. And hey, Alabama didn't play well in those last couple games. And I know most of it was on the offense. And everybody listened, well, the offense was bad against Oklahoma, Michigan. It wasn't the defense. But I still say the team missed Keon Sab down the stretch. Yeah. Now, Bray Hubbard replaced him as a player, and Bray did great. And we hadn't even got to Bray yet. Yeah, we hadn't even got to Bray yet. Yeah. Bray was great as a player, but Keon's leadership might have meant something in these close losses. He's an important player on this football team, and a good player.
You have so many of our listeners, I mean, just giddy right now that you haven't brought up Bray Hubbard in this countdown as of yet.
You know, I haven't memorized the list, but gosh, I'm giving it away. But I think Hubbard's tomorrow. I have Hubbard and Sab.
Why would you do that?
Well, I think Hubbard is, because I'm not even sure.
I mean, that's like,
there still needs to be some level of suspense. I'm not even sure.
I just told you, you got everybody on pins and needles. And that's like if I went to the movies and one of the previews were sort of The Sixth Sense, and they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, he's dead the whole time."
He's dead the whole time.
I was like, "Well, I don't even want to see this anymore." So
I'm pretty bad with movie spoilers, so I remember being in the theater watching Titanic, and and the boat hits the ice. And the boat literally hits the big ice, and this woman in front of me is like clearly like in major suspense, and so I was like whispering over the wife. I'm like pointing to this woman. I'm like, she's freaking out. Has she read a book? Has she read any book? She knows this boat sinks. Has she read anything ever?
I saw this happen when Apollo 13 came out. We were at a thing in Ellick City, and somebody was talking about it, and this lady goes, no, I hadn't seen it yet. And we were like, okay. and she was old enough to have like lived through the Apollo 13 thing.
She must have missed it. There must have been something else on TV that day that had her interest.
If you don't like non-Bama topics that we talk about occasionally, I'm going to bring this up because Kirk Herbstreit talked about it because some other Mike Francesca, whatever, he brought it up. Brought up Superman. I went to see Superman the other day, and I'm going to say this again. He's the worst character. He's too good. There's nothing to beat him except kryptonite And even in some movies, when Lex Luthor made a whole island out of kryptonite, he was still able to push through and push the whole island into space because he's Superman. And I'm like, he's got to have more of a weakness. And Krypto, which I thought was going to be the worst part of the movie, was the best part of the movie because there were so many other parts of the movie that were so bad.
So it's bad. So your review is bad.
You know how the more I get away from that movie, the more I dislike it. Because I just don't like. I'm so tired of clones, and I'm so tired of time travel, and I'm just tired of all the. And it's like DC was cramming all these characters in, and they have Guy Gardner who's got this Kirby Smart haircut, and they've got
There's other superheroes in this movie. Aren't there
Huh?
other superheroes in this movie? Are there other superheroes in this movie?
Like the original Green Lantern or one of the originals.
Why does Superman need any help? It doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Terrific, and the whole gag is the whole time like Green Lantern wants to call it the Justice Gang, and they're like, I don't want that. And then Metamorpho's in there. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a sort of a stupid looking character, but I enjoy the idea of what he could be. They just don't do him well. And then he's got a baby in this thing, and his baby looks like a Martian, and it's just this big headed. I'm like, the more I get away from this movie, the more I'm like, this wasn't fun at all. Like, I'm mad about it.
I'm mad, and I haven't even seen it, and I'm mad because I was looking forward to this, and the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, I don't know that I'm gonna. I haven't seen the F1 movie yet. I think I'd rather see that.
Everybody wanted it to be good. We're dying for a good Superman.
Yeah.
Look, when Christopher Reeve did it, and we didn't have any special effects, and remember when General Zod came with his two other cronies, that was pretty cool.
Maybe that's why all the Superman movies haven't been great to me because Christopher Reeve was just about perfect.
Well, it's sort of like. See,
even
Jaws
without the CGI.
Yeah, see, Jaws is my favorite movie, but if you did Jaws just like it was now, people would be like, yeah, that's a mechanical shark. But you at that time you had to lose yourself. You had to suspension of disbelief. Now, like you can't. First of all, there's so many things that are just not right with Superman in the sense that they just don't line up. Like 1 minute, if somebody punches him in the face, he's like, oh, the next minute you can hit him with a boulder and he doesn't move.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, that's why we like Batman. Batman's just a regular old millionaire.
I love Batman. Batman's my all-time favorite. And because of that, because he's a regular guy, he's clearly not, but he's not an alien. He doesn't have superpowers. He's got super stuff.
But he kicks Superman's butt every time. Because Superman's never smart enough to just back up 3 miles and then shoot him with his heat vision. He's never smart enough.
Yeah.
Like Batman's always like, you're not going to do that. And then next thing you know, Batman's stabbing him with a kryptonite batarang. All right, that's going to do it for Locked On Terrible Superhero Movies. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.